Appreciate the opportunity to speak here. So typically with these presentations, I like to start off with a joke, but cybersecurity is very serious and there's nothing funny about it. I'm just kidding. But yeah, in today's day and age, cybersecurity is more important than ever with the increased rates of threats and attacks. So it's crucial to be proactive to prevent becoming a victim of a cyber attack. You got to take the right measures to protect your professional information as well as your personal information. So today we're going to go over best practices for information security management for your business, and also just best practices for your personal life. So by following these guidelines, you'll be able to minimize your risk of falling victim of cybercrime. So I'm Nick Opas. I'm the Information Security Officer at People's Bank at Munster corporate office. Been in information security for 6 years, and I've been in the banking industry for 11. So this kind of lays out what my world looks like as an information security officer. Information security program, IT risk assessments, assessing every asset that you have, every IT asset. A lot of compliance and regulatory standards in the finance industry. Incident response programs, what do you do if you experience an attack, a breach? How do you respond? Business continuity, how do you keep your business operating if there's a disruption? And lots of cybersecurity technologies out there. Data protection, security awareness. Now this is one of the most important things that it's going to be a theme, I'm going to bring it up a lot through this presentation, because this has to do with the human element, and that is the number one way that companies fall victim to attacks. So I figured I'd start with a little bit of scary stuff to grab your attention. But so here's some recent cyber incidents that have occurred recently. So just last week, there's this huge Danish cloud hosting firm. Hundreds of Danish companies use it. They got hit with ransomware. Now you hear about ransomware all the time in the news, and when you hear ransomware, there's one way that happens, and that's an employee clicked on a link or downloaded an attachment in the email. That's how that happens. So that's why you have to really make sure all your employees are very on top of it. So this was a really bad one. Somehow these attackers must have known that these cloud companies were in the middle of a data migration. So they attacked right during that. So all of their systems, including all their backup systems, were all connected to a broader network at this time. So they lost all the backup data as well. Backups is an important part of your information security program. And this is an example of why you should also not only back up online, but maybe do like on a 2-week cadence. Plug an external hard drive into whatever you have saved into the cloud. Keep it offline, air gapped. So their customers have lost all their data. Several hundred Danish companies, and they lost everything. And these cloud companies do not expect to have any customers left by the end of this. So, not good. Close to home, the multiple listing service recently experienced ransomware. Somebody clicked on an email. They were able to recover their data, their database. They had backups. However, they didn't have their system configurations backed up, so they have to rebuild all of that from scratch. So that's another piece of backups where you want to make sure that you also back up your system configurations. And just a few more things that happened right here in Northwest Indiana in the fall last year, Crown Point School District. They weren't too transparent about what exactly happened. I don't know if they ever actually said it, but I know that a teacher there, and shortly after this I heard that they started using KnowBe4, which is a security awareness phishing test platform. So that kind of, okay, somebody clicked. But yeah, that was really bad. All the schools were closed for a little bit there, and ransomware is the most likely thing. Strack and Van Til was hit last year with ransomware again. An employee clicked on an email and was directed to a landing page that said, "Happy Thanksgiving, you've been hit with ransomware." LaPorte County, they ended up paying the ransom to decrypt all of their data, $130,000, because the FBI came up with the decryption key, but it didn't work, so they ended up paying it. And the city of Gary was also hit with, you guessed it, ransomware. So here's just kind of an overview of what your workplace should look like on the information cybersecurity side. So keep your software and your hardware up to date. Patch, update all of your software and all your systems, and also replace all of your old hardware, like your network devices. When's the last time you replaced your router that connects to the internet, if ever? But after a while, these things don't get supported, don't get security updates, and that is a vulnerability. You got to secure all of your devices and your network. You start with firewall. That is the perimeter protection. Doesn't let things in that shouldn't. Then on the endpoints, on the computers, on the servers, is where you have your antivirus systems. And there's really good these next-gen systems, AI-powered now. They learn, they detect, they block it, and they'll get rid of it in real time. So if you don't have next-gen antivirus, I would recommend looking into that. Security awareness training. So security awareness is something you have to kind of continuously train people on, because it's just everyone's busy and distracted, and that's when it happens. On the go, on the phones. So we do quarterly training for all employees, and we also do continuous, ongoing simulated phish email testing. And then you can kind of give each one of your employees a cybersecurity scorecard. You get points for reporting these things and demerits if you click, and consequences. If you haven't already subscribed to any cyber subscriptions to stay on top of what's happening out there. For banking, we have the FSISAC, the Financial Services Sharing and Analysis Center. I know there's a HISAC too for health. There's probably all sorts of them. And then we talked about backups. Every day you should have an automated one backing it up online. But then we talked about what happened at a Danish company, so it's also smart to take a hard copy of it offline. And we learned from the MLS that you should also back up your system configurations. So how many of you are in the cloud? The cloud. Good, yeah. So anyone who uses Gmail or any email is in the cloud. So I wanted to talk about business email compromise, as well as phishing, which we've been talking about the ransomware. But just this year from Verizon's data breach investigations report, business email compromise is now more prevalent than phishing in social engineering incidents. However, when we talk about the confirmed breaches, phishing's still on top. And phishing is clicking on links and attachments in an email. And I'll show a little video I recorded last May about business email compromise. Because why explain it again if I already did it?
Cyber attacks. So as an employee or business owner, it's your responsibility to be that first line of defense. So today I wanted to talk about something called business email compromise, specifically email account compromise. This is when an actual email address is taken over by a hacker. This could be from a customer or a vendor. Their email account actually gets compromised. So in this situation, it's not someone impersonating them. For all practical purposes, it is them. You'll get an email from a vendor that you work with all the time, and it's their actual email address, and they'll say, hey, you need to pay me here now. This looks like it's actually from them, it's their actual email address, but they're asking you to send the money elsewhere or wire the money to a different account. We talk a lot about phishing emails. These will come from most of the time like an impersonated email address, and the main goal there is to click on a link or download an attachment to download malware onto your computer. Business email compromise is more directed to trick you into sending money to somebody else. And with the email account compromise, when that vendor or customer's email address is hacked, you're receiving these requests from their actual email address, but it's not actually them. Their email has been compromised. If a vendor or customer is changing like critical information, email would not be the way to do it. Or you definitely want to have a couple layers of verification. So if someone's asking you to make this significant change, just over an email request, you should take a step back, reach out to them, verify. Never trust just an email. Cyber attackers love to target.
So verify. Never trust just an email. If you get an email, someone's asking you to change the password or even change the address, phone number, whatever. Take a step back, do some jumping jacks, find a phone number, call them. Emails are just words on a screen. So now we're going to get to just the management of information security. I know, but we're a bank, we're heavily regulated, and we have a lot of sensitive information. So, but at least everybody should kind of have some kind of culture awareness around what an information security program looks like. So, information security program is basically just a grouping of policies that help keep your data and information safe. Just some examples of what policies would fall into this program. Acceptably used policy is one that you have all of your employees acknowledge. This ensures that they're using all of your systems properly and responsibly. Clean desk policy, don't leave sensitive information on the desk. Make sure you lock your computer screen when you walk away. Security awareness policy, that's the one that makes sure that our employees have the understanding of how important it is to keep the data secure. You have to have that culture of security awareness, or you're very vulnerable to ransomware. Then vulnerability management. So that's like your patching, updating, make sure everything's up to date, everything's secure. Conduct audits, third-party audits, vulnerability scans, see what you have on your network, and also have third parties perform penetration tests, see if they can get in, if simulate what a hacker would try to do to get in. So this is what we call the Cybersecurity CIA Triad, not to be confused with the Triforce from Legend of Zelda, but equally cool. So confidentiality is the C, and that is making sure that the information is accessible only to those authorized for that access. Integrity is safeguarding the accuracy and the completeness of the information. And then last but not least, availability. You have to ensure that these authorized users do have access to it. So it's a delicate balance of these three things. You kind of have to trade off of a little one of this one sometimes to give one to the other, especially with availability. IT. So the foundation of any information security program is your IT risk assessment. So you have to have an inventory of every single IT asset that you have. If you don't know what you have out there, you can't manage it, you can't protect it. So the first step of risk assessment is determining the inherent risks, which is determining threats. So the inherent risk, here's some examples. So let's say network hardware, looking at a router or switch. What could happen to it? It could be degraded, it could break. The third party that supports it's not available, or there's vulnerability. It could get compromised. So these are the things you have to kind of weigh. And then, so another example, web applications. Say you use QuickBooks for bookkeeping. Data loss. Data loss. I like to call it data leakage. More, it means like your data is getting out there. It's leaking out. Man in the middle, someone can get in there and sniff the information, unauthorized remote access, or user error. So these are all threats, and you need to kind of weigh these out. Impact and probability are the components for each of them. So what is the impact if we lost data, and what's the probability? And then you come up with your residual risk for each asset, which is the controls you have around it. So the hardware, you can have the intrusion detection, you can have conduct penetration testing, formal patching, access logs. For the web applications, make sure you have strong passwords. Multi-factor authentication. If you should be using multi-factor authentication for all your systems if you haven't already. That's a great extra layer, and that's pretty much a must. If you have cybersecurity insurance and you don't have MF multi-factor, and something happened, they're probably not going to pay the claim. So make sure you get MFA, multi-factor authentication. So there's your foundation, your inventory of assets and their risks. So let's do it quickly, just since this is part of my world too, and business continuity planning. Just going to go through this. Just you should kind of have a sense of this too as well. So if you have your business continuity plan, and what is kind of tied to that are incident response, disaster recovery, crisis management. So just the difference of these programs. Business continuity plan is how you continue to operate if you run into a disruption. So if your systems go down, what are your workarounds? How do you keep this operation moving? Incident response plan is, all right, you experienced a breach, you experienced an attack. How are you responding? What are you doing? You got hit with ransomware, hit the ground, pull off the plan, follow the steps. Disaster recovery is if there's a pretty catastrophic failure, then you have to go to your backup site where you have all your data backed up. Floods, hurricanes, nuclear war. And then finally, crisis management. This is marketing's piece. This is Brandy's piece. So this is, once if there is an incident, talking to the public. You have to have a communication plan. Business impact analysis, that's just what the IT risk assessment is to information security program, the foundation. This is the foundation of your business continuity plan. And instead of risk weighting all of your IT assets, instead you're looking at all of your business processes and determining criticality, prioritization, interdependencies among your departments. All right, on to just some really important stuff. Where did I go? Okay. So strong passwords. Don't underestimate how powerful that is. You have really, the longer the better, the more creative, the more random the better. And you should use password managers, which I'll get to on the next slide. Email, you should be able to recognize the common phishing scams that are out there. And I'll get some tips about avoiding those. And you should have some kind of process to report suspicious activity. Like when employees see something suspicious, they should have a defined way of reporting that to management. Cybersecurity at work. If you have remote work, there's pretty much two ways to do that: VDI or VPN, which pretty much just gives you an encrypted safe connection to your network, your corporate network. Again, reporting the security incidents, we'll get to mobile devices, and for home and on the go, make sure you're using secure Wi-Fi networks. Don't use public Wi-Fi if you're doing anything with sensitive information. So here's some tips on password best practices. So avoid using any personal information. Don't use your name, birth date, anything obvious like that can be easily guessed or farmed on social media. Randomness, the more random the password is, the better. It's harder to remember it that way, but if you use a password manager, that's going to help you out there. The passphrase approach is a great way to have long passwords. So every time you add an extra character to a password, it's that much harder for a tool to crack your passwords. So every time, the longer you make it, the better. So you can use a passphrase that's easy to remember, with complexity, like, I love cybersecurity so much. It's like that. So then you have a really long password. Yeah, and unique passwords, don't use the same password across dozens and dozens of platforms that you access. Because if someone gets one, they get them all. And also just avoid using common words in your passwords. Password managers, I put some examples of some products out there. So these are really helpful and probably the best way to handle passwords. So you get a software application on your phone, and you put all your passwords into this program. So yeah, it's your digital vault. All your passwords are in there. So the app itself is protected by a master password, and that we want to make that one super long because that's the key. That's the access to all your passwords. But then you can set this facial recognition, so it's really easy. And biometric facial recognition is great. Use it when you can. So yeah, keep your 1Password, Bitwarden, those are all good ones. Emails. Be careful with those links in the email. This is just words on a screen, and you just can't trust them. report your suspicious activity. So what you can do is when there's a link in an email, if you just put your mouse cursor over it without clicking on it and just hover it over, it'll actually show you what the URL is. So hover over it first and look at it and make sure it looks legit before you click on anything. And avoid using sending secure information over email. If, for work, you probably have a secure email platform. Like a lot of times, it's just type the word secure in the subject line, and it'll encrypt it, and then the person on the other end has to put a password in to access it. And for home, your Gmail and stuff, try not to send too much personal stuff on there. But when you do, you can password protect your attachments. So yeah, phishing's bad. They try to trick you into divulging sensitive information. So scrutinize your email centers. Look at the email address that it's coming from. Look for any discrepancies in what you typically see. What's kind of becoming obsolete is looking for misspellings and bad language, because with AI, with things like ChatGPT, criminals can make it super convincing, perfectly spelled, beautiful English. So that's kind of becoming more obsolete. So you got to be even more careful with emails. They're just getting more and more convincing. So install that tripwire mindset in your mind. Be hyper aware of what it is you're acting upon and when you act upon it. So yeah, verify. And then back to security awareness. We use KnowBe4. That's probably the most popular, probably the biggest company or that program that does that offers cybersecurity training, videos, modules, and everything. And also you conduct the phishing test campaigns where you do simulated phish test your employees and keep everyone on their toes. It's just one of those things that you have to continuously keep reminding people of. It just slips your mind, and it's a huge risk. One of the biggest risks you can face for your company. So for your phones, your mobile devices, make sure you keep your software up to date. The operating system, you get your iOS security updates, make sure you do that. And also for Androids, keep your applications up to date. And back to strong authentication. Use big PIN, longer PIN the better. Multi-factor authentication wherever you can. And biometric authentication, facial recognition is great. It's just so quick to get into your things, and it's really secure. When you're downloading applications to your phones, avoid downloading from third-party app stores. Only download applications from either the App Store for Apple and Google Play from Android. Avoid using anything else besides that. Review those permissions before you install the app. So you got a flashlight app, and it's asking that it needs to access your video camera. What's going on there? So be mindful of the permissions that they lay out. And for your company, it's smart to have a mobile device management solution to be able to protect corporate data on cell phones. Microsoft Intune is one option. Microsoft 360 is also a popular one. Oh, so just public Wi-Fi. That can be risky. So if you're connected to public Wi-Fi, don't access your bank app or send anything like that. You can go on Facebook and stuff, but I would avoid doing anything sensitive on public Wi-Fi. What you can do, you could get a VPN. You got to pay for it, and then you could turn that on if you have to connect to public Wi-Fi if you travel a lot, and that encrypts your connection. It kind of tunnels through that public Wi-Fi and connects elsewhere on a secure Wi-Fi. What I do all the time is just the mobile device hotspot. Connect your laptop to your 5G data. That's secure too. Yeah, you shouldn't be using public Wi-Fi with work. Any work apps. So just some more tips about connections on the go. The VPN, like I said, can encrypt, tunnel through, connect elsewhere securely. Nord got a good one. That's the one I have. You can get a package with a VPN and a password manager, which is kind of nice. And if any of you have Xfinity, if you download the app called Xfinity Hotspot, all those public Wi-Fis that you can connect to now have become secure if you just download that app, Xfinity Hotspot. So, yeah, the one on the left, my left, whatever it is that way, it has that little lock, and it's all capital. So if you get this app, this will show up as an option now, and it's password protected. This one on the right that you'll see all the time when you're driving around or we're at restaurants is not secure. So yeah, these criminals are always getting smarter, always getting trickier. Can you spot the difference in those two URLs at the top there? Yeah, so this is kind of a newer trick. They use letters in the Cyrillic alphabet, and it's pretty tricky. It's pretty slick. So just be really careful. Inspect those links. Tripwire mindset. So yeah, so we have a lot of good tips and tricks and just a lot of good media on our social medias. Here's an example of TikTok.
People sent me a text asking for me to set my password to them immediately. I better do that.
People's Bank will never ask you to verify your password in text, and they certainly won't ask you to take immediate action. That's a smish.
A what?
A smish, an SMS phishing attempt. A bad actor.
Oh, like Nicolas Cage?
First of all, how dare you? No. Someone with bad intentions sending text messages pretending to be from a reputable company in order to try to get things like your password or your credit card number.
So how do I know it's a smish?
Never click on a link, download a file, or reply with personal information to a text message you weren't expecting. If they want you to act right away, that's a huge red flag too. You can always call the company to verify that that's the one who sent you the text message.
Okay, but I think you broke my phone.
At least you didn't get smished.
Thank you. Overacting makes me cringe in that video, but so yeah, I don't know why that's not showing up, but yeah, we have Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and the handle is at ibankpeoples.com. There it is. You made a little graphic thing. So yeah, but that's how you'll find it on any of the social media. But yeah, just back to that, just the smishing and the phishing, like the sense of urgency. You got to do this now. You have to do this now, like or else, number one red flag. Watch out for that sense of urgency. And if you do call to verify, don't ever call the number that's provided within an email. Like, go find, you got your Rolodex or whatever, and call a number that you have on file. Hey, Rolodexes are very, very secure. Air gap. Question?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do get that and you're suspicious, you just delete it? Is that the best process to do that?
Yeah. If you don't have we have Noble Form, and we have a little button that it's called Fish Alert. So you click that, it'll report it and then track the stuff, and they can actually inspect. You can actually inspect the emails too. But if you don't have anything like that, just delete it. Just get it out of there. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. When you get a text message and it's got you report spam.
Yeah.
How effective is that?
I mean, maybe it blocks it from that one. Maybe but these criminals can just keep getting the new numbers, limitedly, infinitely. So, it doesn't hurt. But I mean, they could be right back from a different number, minutes later. Yeah, unfortunately. Any other questions? Oh, thank you.